Yes, we have seen some topics. I mean, we have discussed something on the fixed asset in the previous session. Okay, we talked about basically, the technical clearing account, which is the most important aspect. Okay, the technical clearing account. In the technical clearing account, basically we have two things. One is the operational part, the other thing is the evaluating part. The operational part will have only one, that is covering all the the accounting principles, whereas valuating part we will have multiple document numbers, right, based on the accounting principles that we have for that particular company code. Okay, so based on the accounting principles, we will have the number of documents in the valuating part. But whereas in the operational part, it's going to be only one. That is what we have seen. And we also have seen some miscellaneous thing. And coming to the segment reporting. What is this segmental reporting? Of course, we have seen this part already. So let me explain you what exactly the segmental thing is. So in our basic session, the first, the basic, in our basic session, we have discussed something called organization structure. On the top, you'll have operating concern. Below to that, you will have controlling area. Below to that, we will have company code. Below to that, we will have profit centers. And below to that, we will have cost centers. And about to the profit center, we have one more concept called segment. What exactly the segment is? Okay, the profit center can be in any way, right? It can be a location, or it can be a multiple locations, or it can be a country level. Okay, we can keep profit center in any way. But what exactly the segment is? If I talk about the segment, let me just explain you about pharmaceutical company. Okay, so we will have, something called A tonic, B tonic, C tonic. We will have X tablet, Y tablet, and Z tablet, and we will have M, N, and O ointments. These three are called syrup, and these three are called tablets, and the next three are called ointment. Okay, now I can have each product also as a profit center. A syrup is one profit center, B is one profit center, C is another profit center. Similarly, XYZ are three different profit centers, M and O are again three different profit centers. Now, there are certain situations where business may want not only the profit, the financial statements at product A, B, C, and so on and so forth, but also they want the financial statement at syrup level, group of products level. This group of product is nothing but segment. This is nothing but a segment. So it means the segment will have multiple profit centers, and those multiple profit centers resembles by nature. It can be in any way. We can say in any way, but ultimately what I'm trying to tell you is there is a similarity in these products. So all such products are considered as one segment. If the business wants to see the financial statement, profit and loss account and balance sheet at product A, B, C, and so on and so forth, and not only apart from that, if the business also wants to see at the group level, then we will have to activate the segment. Okay, so if the business wants the segment activation, and if the business wants both segment and profit center in the master data, in the asset master data, we will have to do the relevant settings over here. We will have to do the relevant settings over here. Okay, segment reporting, basically it helps us to activate profit center and segment fields in the asset master. So with this activation, we can see both profit center and segment in the asset master. Okay, so that is the main importance of this activation. So just get into that activate segment reporting. Path is IMG, financial accounting, asset accounting, integration with the general ledger accounting, segment reporting, activate segment reporting, just execute. Here, if you want that, you just have to select and save it. Just select and save. Okay. So that segment reporting related fields, it means segment field and profit center can be seen in the asset master. Right. Next is fill master data for segment reporting. This is just like a placeholder to fill profit centers and segment in the existing master data, in the existing asset master. When do we use this? Let's say we have gone live. Our project is live now. Okay, SAP project is live. After some period, maybe after a month, maybe after a year, 10 years, they want the segmental thing to be there in the asset master. So what we will do, we will come back here and we will activate the segment report. And once we activate it here, the profit center and segment will appear in the master data. So now what we will have to do is we will have to enter the relevant segment and profit center in this step. We will have to do that in this step. Okay, otherwise we can do manually going into the relevant transaction code AS01 to create the asset master and AS02 for change. So you can just go into AS02 and make the changes accordingly. Okay, so either you can use this or you can use AS02 to make the changes individually. Fill master data, fill master data for segment reporting, path is same, just execute. Of course, we don't have any assets thing, so we don't require, we cannot do anything in this now. Okay, because we don't have any master data, asset master. Back. Next, additional account assignment objects. Okay, additional account assignments. So normally cost center appears in the asset master. If you want, in addition to that, if you want something else, then you can do this. So here in this activity, activate account assignment objects, what we will do is we will activate all other account assignment which are expected, which are required. Okay. So activate account assignment objects. What are account assignment objects? Like PM order, plant maintenance order, production order, cost center, internal order. These are called additional. I mean, these are called account assignment objects. So activate account assignment objects. Path for this is IMG, financial accounting, asset accounting, integration with the general ledger accounting, additional account assignment objects, and activate account assignment objects. Just execute. Here, see, internal order, investment order, fund center. These are all different account assignment objects. If you want, you can activate by selecting these. So the check button says these are all activated from the asset accounting perspective. And there are unchecked. It means real estate object, grants, management funds. All these things are not activated. The next we have is the balance sheet. This is called balance sheet GLs. So do you want to use this for balance sheet? It basically what it specifies whether this particular account assignment object is relevant to the balance sheet. If I say internal order and if I select here, it means this internal order is, I mean, this internal order can also be used for balance sheet items, balance sheet GLs. So basically it specifies whether that particular account assignment object is relevant for the balance sheets. These cannot be changed. So if at all we have selected this, if we select this, okay, if we select this, now if we select this, I mean, for a fund center, it is selected. Now we have created an asset master and we have capitalized. Once we capitalize the asset, we cannot change that. We cannot change that. It means we will have to use even for the balance sheet items. Okay, normally, normally we don't select these balance sheet items for all account assignment objects because all account assignment objects are helpful in the controlling area. So we don't capture balance sheet items in the controlling area. So normally we don't select the balance sheet items. Next, final one is agreement. This is called agreement. So what happens if I select this? We cannot change the account assignment object when posting is happening. Suppose if I select this internal order, what does it mean? It means whenever I'm posting a transaction for a particular asset, I have to enter the internal order. I cannot change. It means I cannot consider cost center in such case. I cannot consider cost center. That is the meaning of this part. Okay, we will understand this clearly when we do front end. So at the moment you understand one thing, what are account assignment objects that are required, we will activate all of them, and we don't select the balance sheet items because we don't enter any objects for the balance sheet transactions. And finally the agreement. So this becomes the moment I select it, that becomes the mandatory field. So at the time of posting a transaction, the internal order, entering an internal order becomes the mandatory. That is the meaning of this account assignment related settings. So normally we will have this a default thing, just we can go ahead and use the same thing, or if you want, you can of course you can change this accordingly, right? So that's it. Next is specify account assignment types for account assignment objects. Path is the same and just execute. Here for our company code 1248, what are depreciation areas we have for our company code? These are the depreciation areas. And if I select the depreciation area, what are my account assignment objects? Okay, so you can maintain, you can assign the relevant account assignment objects based on the depreciation area, based on the depreciation area. So what you can do is you can select the relevant account assignment, and this is for transaction. This is nothing but a transaction types. In SAP, I mean in the asset accounting area, when we are posting any transaction, there is an associated transaction types. This is what the transaction type. You will come to know very clearly when we get into the next, I mean in the further areas. Okay, so that's about this transaction type is. So normally we don't enter, it means by default, whatever we have, we want to go ahead. But if at all you want to consider by depreciation area, you can do this here. Back. Any questions? Fine. The next we have is the error table. Of course, we don't require that. That's purely display of active. Whatever we have activated, those can be seen over here. That's fine. So jumping on to the next one called general valuation. Of course, we went into this already once, and we went into currencies, specify the use of parallel currencies. This step is required when we have a parallel currencies activated. As I said, if at all we have parallel currencies, we need to have relevant depreciation area for all those parallel currencies. So the path for this is IMG, financial accounting, asset accounting, general valuation, specify the use of parallel currencies. We already went into here, and we have maintained the relevant parallel currencies. See, you can see three sets of parallel currencies. Group currency, hard currency, this is something relating to the first accounting principle, and the next two are relating to the next accounting principle. Finally, the third set is for third accounting principle. Of course, we have discussed that part already. Just back. Right. Now coming to the general valuation here, set chart of depreciation. So why do we require a set of chart of depreciation? Because at the time of posting a transactions, at the time of configuring certain values, the system will not ask either a company code or a chart of depreciation. So in such a case, whatever the chart of depreciation it is, the entire configuration will go and sit into that. Wherever you have a company code prompt or chart of depreciation prompt, you will not have any issues. The configuration relevant to that will go and sit into that. But there are certain other configuration areas where system does not give any prompt. So what happens is whatever the set chart of depreciation, whatever the current chart of depreciation is designed, system will go and saves into the chart of depreciation. And after the configuration, if you want to do a test from the front end, system will not work because the entire configuration sat in different chart of depreciation. So make sure before you are doing any kind of configuration, make sure that you are there in your chart of depreciation. So set chart of depreciation path for this is IMG, financial accounting, asset accounting, and general valuation, and set chart of depreciation. Just execute. Here we are in our chart of depreciation only. So whatever the configuration is happening, it is happening in our chart of depreciation only. Okay, whatever the chart of depreciation we have here, the same thing is happening here. So remember, before we go and make any changes, go into this transaction code OAPL. Transaction code is OAPL, and enter our chart of depreciation. Okay, so I'm opening another screen. OAPL. So enter this. There is a different transaction code in ECC. In S4 it says as OAPL. I don't remember in ECC, but I think it is a different transaction code altogether. Next, depreciation areas. Define depreciation areas. Of course, we have seen that. This we have already seen this part. So path for this is IMG, financial accounting, asset accounting, general valuation, depreciation areas, define depreciation areas, just execute. Okay, here we have defined depreciation areas. Double click on define depreciation areas. This is what we have seen already. This is what we have already seen. Okay, so but when you go here, in this, it directly went into our chart of depreciation. It did not ask, but still it went into our chart of depreciation because of set of chart of depreciation. OAPL transaction code. Back. Specify area type, depreciation area type. Double click on specify depreciation area type. Double click on that and you can see some information here. Of course, we have already maintained this. Now 01 is based on 01. It comes based on the earlier step. In the earlier step, we have maintained, right, depreciation areas. Based on that, we got this information. You see now 01. What it's saying? It is saying standard depreciation type. What it is saying? It is saying as 01 valuation for trade balance sheet. Valuation, trade and balance sheet. Okay, so this we are using it for our balance sheet purpose. And again, the second and third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and even seventh, these are all the parallel currencies. These are all parallel currencies, and the data relevant to this will not get posted into any GL because we have not mentioned it does not post in real time. That is what we have selected in our earlier step. It means define depreciation areas. Here what we have done for all these, we have mentioned it as area does not post. So there won't be any GL for this. So because of that, it is it is saying as a 01. It means we are doing it for the balance sheet purpose only. Now coming to the 40. The 40 is created for something else. And if you want, of course, we can change. Okay, we this 40 is for what it is saying 11. 11 is for US something state modified markers or something. So if you want, you can continue to use the same thing, or if you want to use it for something else like net worth valuation or insurance valuation, group valuation, accordingly you can consider. So this we got for 40, we got 11 based on the standard. It means while creating our chart of depreciation, we have copied it from the country specific chart of depreciation given by the SAP. Now we have picked up the same thing and copied it. So because of that, we got this 11. But if you want, you can use it for something else. Um, do you want to use it for net worth valuation? Do you want to use it for insurance valuation? For insurance purposes, basically. And net worth in the sense, what is the value of that particular asset is. That is what net worth. So group valuation or cost accounting valuation or even for investment support, what is your expectation? We have assigned one ledger to it. one accounting principle to it. So based on that, we will have to change the relevant type. Okay, based on that, we will have to change that. So I'm just going ahead, use the same thing, 11. Not sure what for we have these markers or something, then I'm just going ahead and use the same thing. And next thing is the 80. This is the depreciation area. Something talks about the insurance value. So because of that, the standard says about 5, which is nothing but insurance valuation. So according to the depreciation areas procedure, we will have to select the relevant type. Okay, right. So if you want, you can change them, and or else you can just go ahead and use the same thing. Back. Next, define depreciation areas for quantity field. Okay, depreciation areas for quantity. So what depreciation areas do you want to consider even for quantity? What is this quantity? Basically, this quantity information is important in the case of a concept called low valued asset. It is important in the case of low valued asset. Just I'm selecting this documentation. This activity specify which depreciation you want to use for updating on this setting is relevant for the low valued asset only. Yes. Okay, so what does it mean? What is low valued asset? First we will see. So business has a policy. If the asset value is less than or equals to $500, they don't want to consider this as a capital amount. It means they don't want to consider it as an asset. If the amount is greater than, okay, greater than 501, then they will consider it as capital item, and accordingly they want to consider it as an asset, and they want to provide a depreciation. Now, if the value of the asset is until $500, then what they're going to do, they will be creating an asset, and the whole depreciation will be depreciated in the same year. It means that is not a capital item. What does it mean? What does a capital item mean? Capital item means the life of that particular asset will be more than a year. Okay, the life of that particular asset will be more than a year, then that is called as a capital. If it is more than a year, it means we will have to provide depreciation accordingly. If the life of an asset is 2 years, let's say 10,000 is the value of particular, so we'll have to provide 5,000 in each in these 2 years. If it is 10 years, we will provide 1,000, right? So based on the number of years of life, we will calculate our depreciation and will provide accordingly. But if it is 500, maybe it is a furniture, maybe it is a computer, maybe it is a machinery, whatever it is, even the asset works for more than a year. But the policy of the firm is, if it is there until $500, they want to consider it as a low valued asset. And accordingly, the entire asset value will be considered as a depreciation in the first year itself. In the first year itself, there is, I don't remember exactly. I think it starts with G or something. So there is a depreciation key, SAP standard depreciation key, that will give that has to be assigned to the relevant fixed asset, the asset master, so that system will take the entire amount as a depreciation in the first year itself. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, that's about the depreciation, low valued asset. Now, why the quantity is important? Let's say I'm procuring 200, one asset. Okay, the second asset is 100 and the third asset is 300. These three are similar assets. These three are same assets. Now, the moment I update the quantity, it means one, two, three. All three will be cumulated. Individual, if you consider each one of them is considered as a low valued asset because the business practice is to consider the value until $500. If you consider individually, each of the asset is considered as a low valued asset. But when you club all of them, then it is more than 500. So the system will not at all consider this as a low valued asset. So do you want to accumulate the similar assets, or do you don't you want that? Do you want the system to ignore that part, or do you want the system to consider that part? If you want the system to consider that part, just update the quantity here. That is the purpose of this step. Okay, define depreciation areas for quantity update. Path is the same, just execute. A chart of depreciation. Okay, now here by default, I think we have it one, and we can see only 140 and 80 because these three are the transactions happening in real time. It means we have the GLs assigned to these, and the remaining depreciation areas are not getting posted into any GL account. So because of that, you can see here. So which depreciation area do you want to consider for quantity update? If you want to consider one, select the one, otherwise you can select that accordingly. Okay, just save it back. Specify transfer of APC values, specify transfer of depreciation terms. We have seen this part already. Okay, so let's see specify transfer of APC values. What is APC? Acquisition and production cost. Okay, specify transfer of APC values. Path is same, just execute. Okay, here we have maintained this part already. We have already maintained this part in our first step itself. Okay, in the first step itself, we have maintained this. Copy reference chart of depreciation areas. Here, copy delete depreciation areas. Here we have maintained, sorry. Yeah, here in the valuation, in the group, in the parallel valuation, during this time, specify the use of parallel currencies. Here during this time, we discussed about this part. So the first two columns are relating to the first configuration. The next two are relating to the second configuration. Specified transfer of APC, specified transfer of depreciation. So it talks about the ABC, APC, and this talks about the depreciation terms. Okay, so what exactly we are doing here? Specified transfer of APC values. What exactly this thing? What are we specifying here? We are specifying here the reference of depreciation area. What is the reference of depreciation area? So 0, 1 and 40, 80 are independent depreciation areas. These are called independent because these three are posting directly. area post in real time, and the remaining things are all not area does not post in real time. So these are all called dependent 2 to 7. Now, how 2 and 3 are getting updated from where? Which is the depreciation area that we are, which is the depreciation area that we are covering? That is what here it is mentioning. And we are also saying as an identical. It means the value will be copied here into 2 and 3. Similarly, fourth and fifth will be copied from 40. Sixth and seventh will be copied from 80. This is what we have discussed already. Any questions here? So basically what it specifies the reference depreciation area that we are using for the other depreciation area. So this depreciation area we are using it for 2 and 3. Whereas 40 is being used for 4 and 5, 8 is being used for 6th and 7th. That is what we call it as reference. System will transfer the posting of APC amounts, acquisition production cost amount, to the dependent depreciation areas. Okay. And the one important thing in this case, of course, we have seen these two are relevant to 01. 01 has one accounting principle, accounting ledger. So this is applicable to the relevant accounting principle only. So I cannot consider 01 for this thing for 4 and 5 because 4 and 5 are depending on 40. 40 has a different accounting principle. One has an one has a different accounting principle. 40 has a different accounting principle. So we cannot use 40 related for the other accounting principles. Okay, that is the point we have discussed already. Back. Let's see the next specified transfer of depreciation terms. The path is going to be the same. And here also we have already maintained execute here again the same thing. 01 the dependent for 2 and 3 is 01, for 4 and 5 it is 40, for 6 and 7 it is 80. Okay, that is what the depreciation areas rules for taking our depreciation terms. This is for depreciation terms. It is also specifying the reference. This depreciation area, since it does not post in real time, this has to be dependent on something else. So this is depending on 01. Okay, and as I said, in this case also, the accounting principle is important. If at all you have a different accounting principle, then you cannot use the same thing. Just for an example, 04 or something relating to 40. So we will have to select 40 only here. Right. So subsequent implementation of depreciation. So after the go live, if at all we want to add few more depreciation areas, we will be using, of course, it requires some technical help. I mean, body or something is required. So we need some technical help in order to add further more depreciation areas. This is for country specific, that's fine. Next, determine depreciation areas in asset classes. So what are the other? Already we have maintained some depreciation areas. We have some depreciation areas based on the standard chart of depreciation. Now still we have an option. What are you want to maintain? What are the depreciation areas you want to keep? Okay, so for that reason This is the step that we will be doing. Path is IMG, financial accounting, asset accounting, general valuation, and determine depreciation areas in asset class. Just execute. This is based on the asset classes. So select the relevant asset class, double click on depreciation areas, double click on depreciation areas. So we will have all the depreciation areas available for this chart of for this asset class. Now, if I don't want a particular one, I can just select the same thing and I can remove it. So here I have an option, remove in the sense I don't have an option to delete here. I just have to mention it as deactivate. So these are all deactivated. So I will have to keep them activated. Then I'm selecting specify screen layout rule. So what this screen layout rule that we will see later, not at the moment. And here, okay. Now, apart from the deactivation thing, we also have a default depreciation key and the useful life of the particular asset. How many years of that particular asset works and how many months. I say 5 years 2 months, then I'll put 5 years here, 2 months here. Okay, so whatever the depreciation key, whatever the useful life you keep over here, these things will come up there in the asset master by default when we create any asset using this asset class. Okay. So when we create any asset master using this class, asset class, we will have all zeros in the depreciation key. We will have zero as years. I mean, we will have to enter there manually. What is the depreciation key that we want to consider and what is the life and how many years of month and how many years of years, how many years of life that we will be mentioning. So what exactly we are doing here, if you don't want certain depreciation areas, you can deactivate them and you can keep a default depreciation key and default useful life of that particular asset so that when we create any asset using this asset class, system will system will give all this information by default. The entire information will come in default. So we will discuss this in detail during our front end session. The layout part we will discuss later. This layout part we will discuss later because we have this layout thing in the further session. So that time we'll come back and we can maintain here. So just to save it and do for the other asset classes. So let's pick up 1100, go here and deselect all of them and just press enter 1000. And here we have by default some depreciation key. If at all you want, you can keep the same thing, or if you want, you can change. Okay, if you want, you can change them. That's fine. You can change. I'm just keeping the same thing because we are not going to use the same depreciation keys. We are going to create our own depreciation keys and we will come back here and we will maintain the same thing over here. Okay, just to save back. And for machinery, I think these are ours, right? Furniture. How many asset classes do we have? One is, oh, I'm sorry. These are not ours. So we have X100, these are ours. So select asset, our asset class, go to depreciation areas, deactivate all of them, and you can enter something, some layout. So here basically you can see two layouts, 2000, 1000. These two are the as layouts that we have. Okay, so this is for main asset, this is for sub asset number. Okay, since we are using it for main assets, I'm selecting 1000, and we can see the relevant configuration in the further steps. So until that point in time, I'm just selecting the same. Okay, so I'm deactivating all of them. I'll just say 00. Since we don't have any depreciation key, I'm just entering the same thing. Save. Back. X200 depreciation areas. Again, I'm deactivating. If the moment I say deactivation, you will not be able to see these at all in our asset master. So just I'm putting some zeros here since we don't have any depreciation key. Back. X300. Okay, save it. Next, X300, X400. So just I'm entering the same layout for all my depreciation areas. Okay, X400, X500. So for land, there won't be any depreciation. So the depreciation key always be thousand, always be all zeros. So here it is always be all zeros because there won't be any depreciation on the land. And finally, electrical fittings, depreciation areas. I'm just activating the depreciation areas. And we have another area to deactivate the depreciation areas, that is in the front end in the asset master. In the asset master also we have an option to deactivate certain depreciation areas. So we will see them in the front end. Back. So I have maintained for all my asset classes. Then deactivate asset class for chart of depreciation. So if you don't want particular asset class, you have an option to deactivate. Of course, in the asset class itself, we have an option to deactivate. Otherwise, we can also do it here. Deactivate asset class for chart of depreciation. Path is the same thing and just execute. Here you can say lock. You can just select it and save it. And when you want to create any asset master using the relevant asset class, system will throw up an error saying the particular asset class is blocked or locked. Okay, so that's about the deactivation of asset class, activation or deactivation of depreciation areas within that particular asset class. along with the depreciation key and all stuff. And the next we have is the low valued asset. Any questions until here? Okay, so that's all at the moment. We will continue the low valued asset in detail tomorrow. Okay, so the tomorrow's class is also very important class, and day after tomorrow's class is also very important, because in day after tomorrow we will be discussing on the depreciation key. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow are important. Of course, tomorrow we will start the depreciation key, and majority of the topic will be discussed on tomorrow. Today is Tuesday, right? Wednesday. On Friday we will be discussing the depreciation case. So Friday session is going to be very important session. Then Saturday we will finish the remaining configuration steps. Sunday we can start our front end. Any questions?
No, Nanda. Nanda,
Uh,
anything happened about Fiori app so that we can continue
no,
our
actually
sessions?
I have not followed up with him. Let me just check with him.